I'd like to welcome you to the Hebron Board of Education regular meeting of Thursday, February 10th, 2022. If we could do a roll call.
Caitlin O'Leary, Business Manager.
Tom Barrett, Superintendent.
Amanda Veneziano, Vice Chair.
Heather Pettit, Chair.
Ali Schmeisel, Secretary.
Nicole Matthews, Board Member.
Board Member.
Diana Morales, Board Member.
Educational Services.
All right, thank you very much. Now if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, and next on our agenda is the Student Liaison Report. I'm just going to pass it.
What's up?
All right. Thank the Student Council for that choose one video. It was very nice. Okay, public comment is next on the agenda. The Hebron Board of Education values the public comment period as it represents an opportunity for members of the public to express their views to the board on matters within the board's authority. Procedurally, public comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and citizens will be asked to identify themselves. All comments must be directed to the board and not to any individual board member or individual member of the administration. The board and the administration will not respond to questions or engage in dialogue during the public comment period. The board and the administration will determine when to address questions that arise during the public comment period. So we could ask, or we do have a sign in for anyone that wants to give public comment, so I'll just start with the people that have signed in on the list. Aaron BoE, 195 Wall Street. Thank you, Brent.
Members of the Board of Education and Administration, thank you for allowing me to address the group. My name is Aaron BoE. I live at 195 Wall Street, and it's my intention to speak about masks this evening. I know it's a hot topic. I'd like to start by saying that my heart is that our town is among the list of towns that need police presence at Board of Education meetings. Behavior. This is a topic that stirs many emotions, but we should be able to have conversations without personal attacks and behavior that gets us to the point of needing an officer here tonight. So I challenge everybody tonight to be respectful and listen to one another so that he can go home tonight, because he really should be home with his family right now. I'd like to first questionable. They're learning about being a part of a community. We want them to choose love and be kind. Oh, well, they go home, listen to their parents and grandparents, talk poorly about people with an opposite point of view. make our kids safe or free, or for other reasons. We're parents. My asking, among all the other things that we'll talk about tonight, is the sense of division that I fear that this is going to bring. That don't wear masks. I've personally witnessed this in our community. Of someone saying, "Mommy, why is she wearing a mask?" with a touch of judgment, sounding a lot like an adult would. A group of children wearing masks, questioning a child who was not wearing a mask, leaving the maskless child to play alone until the adult intervened. But when the entire school is provided with a sense of we're all in this together for good or bad. Does every kid love wearing their mask? No. But I challenge us to think about how we can unite as parents who care about our children, our great teachers in our schools. Can we come up with a better way other than two sides antagonizing one another? I know that we're still seeing COVID cases during our current cold and flu season, which is an important factor given that elementary school children haven't even reached a 50% vaccination rate. I believe today it was 36% with one dose and 30% fully. Our pre-K students can't get vaccinated due to their age, and we have vulnerable teachers and students in our district that we have a duty to protect. The masks won't need to last forever, but any decision made should be made based on scientific data. Can we accept that there will likely be another spike after April breaks? I would ask us to come together and agree until after April break to see where we are at and at that point, when there are more opportunities to be outside for the children, and that we also represent 6 months post when ages 5 through 11 were eligible for vaccinations. Maybe people who were hesitant to get their child vaccinated do so with more available data, or maybe they can speak to parents that they trust who have had their children vaccinated. Vaccinations are still our best defense. The concept of out of the question. I look at the other side of this debate and I actually see a teacher at the high school that my kids have had. They actually enjoy her class.
Erin?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You are welcome to also email to the board so we can see the rest of your comments. Thank you. Thank you. Kim Hills, 12 Old Slocum Road. Good evening.
Hi. Thank you also for the opportunity to talk, and I'm the teacher from Brigham High School. And I said this at the last meeting that I spoke at, that I grew up in town. My husband grew up in town. We have 3 children that work at school, and we decided to homeschool, and we were blessed to be able to do that because we believe in freedom of choice for families and for communities. We also have a business in town, and like I said, I teach here too. So we're invested in the community and in our students and our children. And I just wanted to reiterate that piece. And the vote is still happening right now. So we've got an extremely volatile situation emotionally and with what's going to happen. So I realize that no vote can happen from you guys yet, but we just want to make it clear that there are families that feel like freedom for families to choose would be the best pathway moving forward, and that would establish a good solution that makes everyone safe and comfortable in a learning environment. And the parameters around that can look like you choose what's best for your family, and we respect that choice and we don't question that choice. And we can play with each other and learn with each other with a mask or without a mask, and that's everyone's prerogative to do so. So if you could take away from what this public comment is that we just would really appreciate respecting families and students' rights to choose. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Next on us is Kevin Gasper from Hebron, Connecticut.
My name's Kevin. I was born and raised in this town. So I'm going to kind of go off that because I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but since I had the opportunity, I might as well, just in case the email didn't get around. talking about the masks and the mandate and what is going to go on in the future with the school and the teachers and the students and how it's going to be taken. And I'd just like to voice my opinion that I think the mask mandate should be eliminated. I know that there's a safety reason behind everything, and we have to look out for our best interest for our students, teachers, and bus drivers, and everybody involved. Everybody, just it's a big safety cause. But I guess you could say line of work. I travel the state of Connecticut a lot, all over the state, every day, 5 times a week. It's a pain. I go to a lot of stores, I go to a lot of restaurants, I meet a lot of people, and it just seems that the people wearing masks now are the people that choose to. It's not forced in stores, it's not forced in restaurants. It's just, the only place it's forced is in the schools. And it's forced on the kids, and it's, in my opinion, it's not fair. The kids, they don't know how to voice their opinion. There's no kids here tonight. There's no kids, I promise you, in the kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade that would and probably voice their opinion in front of everybody. It's very intimidating. It's intimidating on people. It's just, in my opinion, it's just not fair. So I think if we could just all maybe come together, just think of each side and respectably figure out something, I don't know, per side, and just try to end the masks. It's not fair to the kids. So that's pretty much all I have to say, and thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have on a list, but if there's anyone else in the audience that would like to speak. We did receive one email, and the individual asked for it to be read at the Board of Ed meeting, so I'll do that now. This email is from Meg Clifton, who lives at 10 Cottage Lane in Hampton. She said, hello, I'd like this to be read at the Board of Education meeting on 2/10/22 as part of public comment. As we wait for more info from the state, I strongly encourage the Hebron Board of Education to keep a mask mandate for pre-K to 6 until April vacation. The elimination of quarantining and the reduction of isolation from 10 days to 5 days are all predicated on strict mask wearing while students are in school. Removing masks would significantly increase the risk factor for students, many of whom are still not vaccinated, and staff. If our goal is to keep students physically in school, where we know our students learn best, mandating masks until we get through the winter months will keep our students healthier and learning in person. Thank you. Ed Clifton. Is there any other public comment at this time? Any other? All right. Thank you all for coming out and voicing your opinion. We appreciate it. We do, as a board, I know that every single board member here reads all the emails that they receive. We do try to respond, just to let you know where we're at. But I do appreciate you taking the time away from your families and to come out and speak to us, so thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. So I'm going to do this as a consent agenda, unless anyone has any discussion. But I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the special minutes of December 20th, 2021, the regular meeting minutes of January 13th, 2022, the special meeting minutes of January 20th, 2022, and the special meeting minutes of February 3rd, 2022.
So moved. Second.
All right, Amanda Veneziano moves, Ali Schmeisel seconds. Is there any discussion? All right, so we'll do a roll call vote. Diana Morales?
Aye.
Joe Margaitis?
Aye.
Nikki Matthews?
Aye.
Ali Schmeisel?
Aye.
Heather Pitta, aye.
I mean, aye. He's doing what I'm sorry.
All right, then pass unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Baird?
Sure. All right, in your packet, some highlights that I'd like to address. Optional after-school activities for Hebron Elementary students. Parents can, right now the plan is going to go out tomorrow with a message for the offerings, and there'll be a menu for people to choose from, and those will get underway in approximately 2-3 weeks. That's exciting. They'll run, this first session will run up to April break, and then we'll learn a lot from that first time, and we will potentially offer a second session then after April break through the rest of the school year. So, professional development for on assessments for all staff engaged in curriculum writing has begun and will continue. The STEAM team, the 2 academics at each school are going through that professional development. Family has been a topic that's come up. One of the things that we've talked about is that we have family engagement study groups happening at each school this year. Those are staff-focused study groups this year. Principals, and their thinking is for next year that those study groups would likely continue to invite some family members to participate in those study groups next year. Also parents, but we'd like to get some parents who are not staff members to participate as well. In regards to executive orders is the requirement for school staff and bus drivers to participate in if they're not vaccinated. That executive order has not been recommended to continue. Today has been the last day for folks that are participating in the weekly testing to submit their tests, and so we are executive order sunset because it has been quite a bit of work to administer. Some space options for prep, and I know that Ms. Pettit and Ms. Miziana participated in that. We continue to watch our registration numbers very closely, and we'll finalize spacing options for prep towards the end of the school year. The administrator to discuss the capital improvement projects, the town planner to design the pavilion of the park expansion for Hebron Elementary School. We'll probably have more discussion at the Resource Management Committee meeting as that project continues to move forward. A proposed facility study in which the schools will be prioritized as the first buildings to be looked at. In the town's capital improvement plan next year. The air conditioning projects for both schools will be prioritized over the roof replacement projects right now. Could help us with those projects, and the roofs, I think we're looking at the schedule may need to push out at least one of those projects out a year. And talking to our facilities director, we think that that's going to be an okay schedule. Our policy allows for Narcan to be housed in our health offices and administered in the event of emergency. We currently do not don't have Narcan in our offices, but it's not, the policy doesn't dictate that we do or we don't. It just allows for us to do it if we want to. The SRO also carries Narcan and is trained to administer Narcan, both at RAM and here. At the SRO, obtaining standing order Narcan from our medical advisor so that we can have Narcan available in our medical offices. The policy calls for us to notify families if we do store Narcan, and that published through our family handbook. Obviously, staff in the health office will be trained how to administer Narcan before we would continue with that kind of project. It's likely, although it's not on the books right now, it's likely that this is going to become a requirement from the state to have it in our health offices. The recommendation of our SRO. That's why we're talking to our medical advisor. She's also talking to other medical advisors on just the advisement of having it in elementary schools. It's not as common as middle schools and high schools. So I'll keep you posted on this process as we move forward. And that's what I have from the report for tonight.
Thank you. And I do want to take a moment just to welcome Officer Topoulos, who is our new school resource officer. Obviously, he's not new to being an officer. He has, and correct me if I'm wrong, but over like 30 years of experience, but he is new here to our schools, so we're happy to have him. I know the children, the students, our students love having an officer, so thank you and welcome. Sorry I didn't do that earlier. I did have one quick question. I know I've asked this before, so I apologize, but can you just clarify the total enrollment? So if I look at last month to this month, I know I asked this last meeting, so we now have 12 more students?
Of students total that we had last year, last month. I did this report as it was being put together, comparing it to last month. So the numbers exactly the same. That often is not the case. There was I believe at Gilead Hill, though, where we had an additional transfer, but we had one less first grader, second grader. I can't remember exactly, but there was some small movement, but the total remained unchanged.
Okay. I think I'm just using the 705, but I should be looking at the 693. I think that's where I'm...
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Sorry about that. All right, Ms. Leary, the business manager report.
So over the past couple months, I've been reporting on the progress with our FCC Emergency Connectivity Fund grant, which is distributing some Chromebooks and iPads and internet connection to families. We are still moving along, waiting for some of those devices to come in with still an anticipated date of the end of this month for distribution. In addition, we've submitted an application, which is like this very, very long acronym here, Public Education and Government Programming Educational Technology Investment Account. So that, hopefully, if funded, will get us a couple more pieces of equipment here, a projector and a video camera, which can be used to aid in videoing our board meetings and also other school events, so that we can be broadcasting some of those. So we await to hear about funding on those. You had asked us to move forward last time that we met with these speakers in the single stall bathrooms throughout the buildings. So we've quoted that at a total of $4,700. So we will be requesting a budget transfer for that next month. You'll see that as part of my packet next month, so that we can then move forward with some of that work in the spring. Facilities, the work over the past month has been concentrated on, aside from snow removal, some work with our fire panels in both schools. I do have a note here that the fire panel at Gilead Hill was complete, but Wednesday we had testing of both panels, and there is work to be done again on both. So we will continue to do that and make sure everything's all secure at both schools. And it's a pretty hefty price tag, so we may be doing a budget transfer around that work too. As far as transportation is concerned, I've had quite a few conversations with DATCO over the past several weeks, really looking at some of the contract language around communication with families. We're really just trying to streamline our work and make sure that we can get responses back to families as soon as possible, in addition to really looking at the disruption that's been caused over this this past year, really. But in January, there were some buses that were just really heavily impacted by some absences. So what we've done is taken a look at our entire fleet, really understood that we've been down at least a bus a day almost the entire year, and for sure in January. So we've consolidated one of those buses just permanently at this point, and that driver is going to be repurposed as a sub driver. so that run times are more consistent for families. Because it was just not working the way that we were hoping things to work. So in addition to that, we got some additional support from DATCO. They're really looking at making sure that they're providing an added level of management, and making sure that we are getting the drivers that we need, getting the sub-drivers that we need, getting communication to families when we need it. And also we're looking into an app to be able to utilize so that families can track the buses and, sort of be better able to estimate when buses will arrive. So we'll have some more information on that in the coming months. There's a small cost to that, but it looks like it'll be about $1,500 a year for all buses. After that, I have all of my different, financial reports included, a little bit of movement in student activities accounts that's listed in my report. Food service program continues to look fairly healthy financially. There was a slight increase to the reimbursement rate for the lunches and breakfasts, just based on recognition that some districts are struggling with COVID. So that increased reimbursement will just continue to help us through the end of the year. And then under my grants section, I still have that security grant that we submitted back in June. We still wait to see if we will get any reimbursement for some of our previous security investments, which would then, that reimbursement would help us to purchase a fence at HES. We still wait on that. And then you have your year-to-date financial report, which shows an uncommitted balance at this point of $314,000. And that is all I have for you today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. So next on the agenda is the CARES report. So I just want to thank everyone again for coming out this evening to speak. The board did commit to having a special meeting. We did that several months ago, and in the months and more recently, as a reminder sent out. We are committed to having a special meeting specifically around masking in schools once it's actually local authority. As you know, right now, the governor has made a statement. It sits at the legislature, has to pass both the House and the Senate, and whatever that looks like at the end of the day, then perhaps the State Department of Ed and the Department of Public Health will have some authority or not, but if they do, they'll have authority over the schools in regard to telling us what masking looks like. So I say all that to say the local authority does not yet lie with us. It might very likely shortly. That's the way it's looking, but that's why you don't see a vote this evening. To the board, I will say there's a couple things I wanted to talk about, and that was a potential date for the special meeting. I think it's good to maybe get a date a little bit towards the end of the month, so we have some time to actually know what we would be discussing, to see what that looks like coming down from the state at all levels. Also, I wanted to let the board know that today I received an email from the town attorney, the town manager, Andy Tierney. He sent it to Dr. Baird, myself, the chair of the Board of Selectmen, Dan Larson, Russell Melmed, the director of Chatham Health, and Scott Leslie, who is the acting superintendent at RAM at the moment. And he asked all of us as a group that we work together on, just collaborate together on what the masking situation would look like. So we would have a meeting about that because we're all going to be impacted. The town will, obviously RAM, we will, depending on what comes down from the state. So he asked that that we meet regarding next steps moving forward. Some potential dates were put out for next week, but nothing is confirmed yet because it's kind of premature to have a meeting, again, not knowing. And I think the director of Chatham Health said that he would like to wait for the guidance so he knew how to direct anyone that had a question. So with that, like as part of the chair's report, so I would say to the board, RAM, if I'm okay to say that, I don't think it's not confirmed, but I think RAM is looking at having their special meeting the night of February 23rd. I think that's okay that I said that out loud. It's not confirmed,
Right.
but it's potentially that night. So I would also like to have it in the spirit of collaboration and with the correspondence we got today with all the parties, potentially have our special meeting that night as well. So that's my first proposal to you. I think it would go a long way in us all being on the same page like we're being asked to do and being collaborative with all of our partners in town. And I would also ask the board their preference. I don't know, when we did the budget forum, we wanted to hear from as many families as possible. And I know that having them in the evenings, and a lot of our families have young children, and even our staff have young children, we did Zoom to give folks the option. So I would also wonder if we propose that as well for the specific meeting. So as many people that want to speak to it, since we have been talking about having this for quite some time, and I want to make sure that we give everyone who wants to speak on the topic the opportunity, Zoom as well. So those are my two proposals. It's not like
Which day? I'm sorry.
February 23rd, just to be in collaboration with RAM. So that would be the evening, like the school districts would have their meeting for families.
Both at the same time.
I don't know what time, but yeah. Nikki Matthews.
Just real quick, if we do it at the same time and night as RAM, that's kind of unfair to parents who have kids in both schools.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just another point I'd like to
Okay,
make, if we're doing it in a spirit of collaboration, wouldn't we want to hear what their feedback is? Right, so if we do it all at the same time, and we were to vote on the same night that RAM is voting, how do we know we're doing it in collaboration? We should
Yeah.
probably also factor in Marlboro and Andover.
Yes, I don't know what their plans are. I mean, I'm just letting you know what the email I received was and who it was from and who are all the parties on the email.
I can speak to Marlboro.
Okay.
Marlboro is going to be meeting on the 24th. It's their regular Board of Ed meeting night. And because of when it fell in the month, they decided that that's when they would have their discussion. I don't know about Andover.
Amanda Venezia.
I think the 24th may be a good option, that Thursday. That way parents can, if they do have children at both, I know several parents do have children at both. And also, I do think it'd be very important to have Zoom, like we did the budget forum, and allow parents to come in. I know we do get emails that say, could you read out loud? But I think it makes it more impactful if they can actually say it and not just, have one of us read their comments. And it's not fair to ask someone who has preschoolers or kindergarten, first grade to come out when they're trying to put their little ones to bed. So I think it'd be great if the board was in person for anyone who wants to come, but I think it'd be great if we allowed a Zoom link like we did in the past for people to speak. We could do it like we did the last budget meeting.
So I know Mr. McKinney is not available on the 24th.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can do that. Thank you.
And he's a key player.
He is very
He is, especially for anything electronic. Alex Schmeisel.
Two pieces. Dare I say the word hybrid meeting? I'm just going to throw it out there. I know we've tried it before. I know that some people might prefer for this important of a topic, to have an opportunity to speak face-to-face. And then my other point that I'd like to make is that week I'm a little hesitant about, because we do have some vacation days there, some school break as well, and I'm worried that parents are going to be traveling. So I'd prefer that we actually look at the week previous, if possible, because I am concerned we're going to miss people who are traveling or on vacation.
So my only concern with that is that we won't know what any of our partners are doing, like in that spirit of, and also I'm afraid that we won't have the information that we need. Because if the legislature decides to pass some form of some form of this down to the State Department of Ed and Department of Public Health. I don't know how quick their turnaround, I don't mean that in any bad way, but I don't know how quick that turnaround of guidance is going to be to us. I do know that the governor asked through the 28th for the mask mandate to stay in place, so I'd rather give us time because I want to have all the information. I don't want to have families speak to something and then we don't do anything anyway, because we won't be able to. So those are my concerns.
Madam Chair.
What are the...
Diana keeps raising her hand.
Yeah. What are the dates for the vacation? Diana Morales?
So two things. One thing I'm concerned about is, on one hand, we're saying we're not giving families enough time, or us enough time to hear the decisions. From what I'm hearing from the Capitol today, after the 15th is the time between the 15th and the 28th where the board has that time to make a decision. So if we wait until the 24th, which, by the way, I'm not available the 24th either, it just seems like, I have business travel. So, and then you have the holiday between the 18th and the 22nd, so you're not, you have families traveling, so you're cutting it really short to the 28th. And then what do you do once you approach the 28th? We really don't have that much time to really organize or have a plan to implement. So March 1st is going to roll around, and if we wait too long, we are not giving ourselves enough time. So I think my first choice and preference would be next week. That way, if something else comes up, then we can deal with it and get ahead of it and not be behind. And to Nikki's point, we don't want to have it on the same night as RAM because there's parents like myself, that would like to be at that meeting. So I don't think that's fair to all the parents that have kids in different districts and school, different ages.
I just don't think that having it next week, I'm not saying we can't, but I don't know that we're going to have anything to know what we're deciding next week. If the legislature decides next week, that's going to be up to SDE and DPH, and then at the end on Friday of next week, they're like, okay, well, we're keeping the mask mandate. I'm just throwing this out there, and I know nothing. I'm just using it as an example. Through April 30th or May 30th.
Then there's no need to have a meeting, if that's the case.
Right, so my concern is that I don't want to have parents anticipate that we're gonna make a decision on this certain date, and we can vote or not vote. I mean, we do have a plan in place that we voted to have Dr. Baird fulfill. But, that's my hesitation of doing it so soon. Amanda Veneziano.
Exactly what Heather just said, with the Senate's not even voting on this until Monday. And if they were to have late deliberations and not even have a vote until Tuesday, currently, until the House votes and the Senate votes, we have no say. So if they do vote and the DPH has to come up with something, if they vote Monday or Tuesday, we're not getting something the next day from the DPH. So my concern is the same, and I know, with Mr. McKinney traveling, I'm trying to pull up my calendar, on the 24th, that day's out. I wonder if we did it at 6. Can we collaborate with RAM that they have theirs at 7:30 and we have a 6? That gives an hour and a half?
Well, their time is not solidified to my knowledge. This is just Mr. Leslie and I having a discussion. So
Sorry.
I said I said that's a date, that may be one of the only days that we have too. And so I asked if there was a time. He said maybe 6:30. I don't know that they've narrowed it down.
I know that Russ, the director of Chatham Health, Russ Melmed, did say we're not going to hear it. He didn't feel like he'd hear anything till late next week and didn't feel comfortable making any kind of recommendation or speaking to it. And we did say before we're going to invite him to the meeting if possible. So those are my concerns. I don't think that we're out though, the 23rd, 24th.
We're out the 20th and we're out the Monday, and the
21st
Tuesday is a
and 22nd.
professional development day.
Okay.
Yeah.
We could potentially do it the 24th if we just did a Zoom.
Diana, wasn't that the date you weren't available?
I'm not available, yeah.
Oh, you're not available. Okay.
And
Joe Marquez.
Dave is not here.
So I'm a little confused with the collaboration piece of this. So it doesn't matter when we meet, if we're supposed to be collaborating beyond the meeting. So I don't think we can take any action on our own. Is that correct?
We
Right.
can't until we have local authority, which we don't have.
Understanding that, so let's say we have local authority, but if we're waiting to collaborate until after RAM meets and they're meeting on the 24th.
It was an ask. It was an ask of the board.
Okay.
So I mean, I can read you the actual, like the, do you want me to read the actual?
I would think that'd be helpful.
Sure, all right, so this came from the town manager. He said, hello all. Just an FYI on a mask mandate, so legislators should vote today in the matter. I think he meant the House when he said that, not the Senate. After we receive the results of their actions, I would hope the two superintendents, the Chatham Health Director and myself, could have a conversation on how that we can move Hebron forward based on the latest information that we received. Hebron is under executive order at this point, and we need to agree on next steps moving forward. I'm sure it'll work out for all, but please stay in touch before any decisions are made. Best, Andy Attorney, Town Manager.
So last sentence, right? Please stay in touch before any decisions are made.
Right.
So I think we need some clarity as to what the town's looking for.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to decide on a date tonight. I do want to reiterate for our families and the public that we are going to have a special meeting. I do want to give them notice, so I don't want to just do a 48-hour special meeting. So that was my point of like bringing up a couple dates. I would like to give them at least a week, just so they make sure we communicate as much as we can to our families, as we committed to that. But if the board would rather we wait and we find out more information, we'll know more hopefully next week. And if both superintendents, Dr. Baird, Russ Melmed, meet, and if I can be there, I will, and we can wait and see.
Well, I think we can definitely still get input from the town, not the town, the parents and families within the town.
Oh, right.
Prior, so I would be
Right.
perfectly fine with, in my opinion, having a Zoom meeting prior, so parents have their say and their input
Mm-hmm.
prior. So at least we have all of, their feedback. It doesn't mean we're gonna make a decision that night, because it looks like we have this stipulation with the town. Just a thought.
So we could have it, but I think the expectation of
Yeah,
parents is
right.
that they will know at the end of the meeting, like whether or not masks are mandated. I mean, potentially, and I say that again because it's really all up in the air, which it has been for quite some time, and I know it's frustrating for families, parents, the board, superintendents,
Yeah.
school staff. So,
I think right now, families are very bottled up, and I think they want to have their opportunity to speak.
yeah.
And so, no matter, I guess it depends on what power we are going to have, if we do get our local power back. Obviously, that would be great, but then we also have this other step now in the town. So weighing all those other factors out, we should try to get something on the schedule soon for the parents to have their chance for their feedback.
All right, so I think at this point, what we'll do is we'll have this meeting, which is supposed to happen next week, with all of the folks on that email. So it'd be the chair of the Board of Selectmen, the town manager, both superintendents, the director of Chatham Health, myself if I'm available at that time, and then we'll go from there. And as soon as we do have a date, we will advertise that. We will get it out to families through school messenger, social media, on our website, all of those things.
And just so I'm clear, I'm just being very literal. So what would the agenda of that meeting be to specifically collaborate about? Do you know what I'm saying? I just want to be very clear about
For
that.
this,
Yeah.
for the town meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's all he said. I haven't responded.
Okay.
But I just got this, when I just saw this, like,
The reason why I ask
After
is
work
because
today.
I know for us, obviously, we're an elected position, so there are certain conversations that we cannot have. Do you know what I mean? We cannot, so for example, you and I can't have conversations about like how we're gonna vote about something or whatever. There's rules that we have to follow. So I know that, we're gonna stay in our lane and, take in all of the information, and we really, really wanna hear from families. So I just wanna be clear that whatever the agenda of that meeting is that it's not sort of, kind of diverting around the public process. Do you know what I'm saying? So I just want to be clear about that.
I'm assuming part of it's going to be hearing what the Director of Chatham Health, because it's kind of really relying on his recommendation, like we have been all along, what he's going to, have to say about whatever guidance comes out, or none, or no guidance, and possibly about what the town does, right? So right now, not only are we under executive order as a school district, but the town has an executive order, like a mandate in place that all town buildings, everyone wears masks all the time. So I'm assuming it has to do with those things, but all I know is what I read to you.
Yeah.
I haven't reached out at all on it. Dr. Baird, I don't know if you have any more information than I do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a legal question that's being asked around the state. There are different town executive orders in place, and they have been done differently. So there could be different sort of like legal ramifications, for lack of a better word, in terms of how things are constructed. So there are some towns that not the town manager, who's similar to me, as an administrator who works under a board who supervises them, they may have done an executive order, and does that carry the same weight if compared to like if the Board of Selectmen had done an order or declared a state of emergency, for example? So there's a question about that. Like, are there legal differences depending on who initiated the town executive order or emergency declaration? There's also there's questions about how they're constructed. So we're not a municipal building during the day when school is in operation, is my understanding. But in the evening, for a municipal meeting, that could be viewed differently. In some towns, do their executive orders in such a way that it applies to any public space. Well, that means like a grocery store. That means any place where the public is gathering. That could potentially also put a requirement on the school. So there's a lot of legal questions right now. Like, so when this becomes a local decision, at what point does it actually sit at the school board's table? There is open questions right now about that. And it could be a town by town sort of determination depending on how whatever executive order was put into place at the town. I do think there's a lot of fuzziness about that. And Hebron does have a current executive order issued by the town manager, I believe.
Yes.
But I could be wrong about that. So I think that's part of what this meeting would be, is like, so what exactly exists and who issued it? And, when it does become a board decision, I think we want to think about what our Region 8 partners are doing, but this is still an independent board governing our two schools. And so you'll have to make a decision, and depending on who goes first, you might not all be making it with really knowing what every other partner is doing. So, I mean, obviously the superintendents are in touch. We're in touch across the region, not just within Region 8. But right now, there's just a lot of unknown. There's a lot of unknown in terms of when does this become a local decision with each community, if there are different executive orders, what are the legal ramifications of how those are constructed? And what is the state legislature going to do? And when will DPH guidance actually be issued? Like, the running joke is like, well, we can expect DPH guidance on the evening of the 27th, so they're saying maybe next week. Well, we've heard that before, with all due respect, that guidance has come at the 11th hour. But the health director and myself, I mean, we would say we need to see what the guidance is saying. And we also need to think about how it is either confirming or conflicting with CDC guidance, American Pediatric guidance, World Health Organization guidance. That's a question that's come up too. For example, over holiday break, I think it was like New Year's Eve night is when DPH issued new quarantine guidance, literally like at 8 o'clock on New Year's Eve. And so, the administrative team and the health office team met like on the 2nd, I think, or the 1st, like over that weekend to determine like, what are we going to do about this? And within Chatham Health District, because it conflicted with some CDC guidance, we were going to our health director and saying, like we've done in every other instance, when there's a conflict between guidance, what do you recommend? We're not health experts. Do we follow the state guidance? Do we follow the federal guidance? And the recommendation was the state guidance. And so we went with that, and it's served us well each time we've gone with the state guidance. But those are the kinds of conversations that need to be had, and we can't have them until the guidance is issued. So I know it's frustrating. I'm frustrated, but it's where we are right now. That's where we are right now.
Thank you. So, all right, so I'm still on my chair's report, so I think from here on out, like, what I will do, Ally Schmeisel.
There's one more thing I just have to, because I know that we're all about transparency, and again, we have a lot of families, right, depending on whatever their feelings are about this, they've had feelings for, 2-3 school years, and so I guess my recommendation would be, is to be very clear that if there are going to be any meetings with town officials, elected officials, publicly funded positions, to have conversations about this, that we're really open and transparent about it, because we have a lot of families and community members who have a lot of feelings about it, and it's very important to them, and I think to us, that if there is such a meeting, that either make it a public meeting or make minutes available or just something to really kind of keep all of the dialogue open, because I think some families, and this I know this is not the intention, but the optics of having this like conversation with very good intentions could be misinterpreted as some like coordination ahead of any voting. And so I just want to be really clear, because so many pieces of this are so complicated. Even what's happening at the LOB today, things are really changing moment to moment. And so any way that we can just sort of promote that kindness, transparency, that openness of communication, I think with this meeting, I think it'd be really important to do that. So that would be my suggestion.
Thank you. That was part of the reason I did not forward this email to the board, and I brought it to the public tonight, so it was out in the open, and so everyone knew the request and what was going forward. So that's why I read it into the record as well. So for now, based on that request and the fact that really we're all just still waiting, I feel like I've been saying that for 2 years now, I will wait to schedule the special meeting. We can, like I said, do it within 48 hours. That is not my preference. I really want to give families that time. So I will try to give 5 to 7 days as soon as we have some, and I'm hoping that when they make a decision and they give a date, that we have plenty of time to have that meeting. And other items on my report, Dr. Baird mentioned we had the prep walkthrough, so that was with Ken Jardin, who is the chair of the Parks and Rec Commission, and Erica, who is in charge, is the director of prep. And we went through the spaces. It was a really great meeting, and Ken reached out and thanked us. And it's another one of those kind of wait and see what our enrollment looks like. It's fantastic that it's going up. So it just depends on where we're at for kindergarten. But I saw on Mrs. Ariano's report that we already have 67 kindergartners enrolled. And we're only in the very beginning of February, and usually enrollment happens like in a boom in the summer. So I'm assuming we're going to be, again, experiencing a wonderful influx of children in our schools. The only other thing is I just want to thank the board again for all of your work and time doing the budget. And I know it's a lot of hours and time away from family. To really do what's best for our kids. I'm proud of the budget that we all put forward. It'll be certified, and so Larry worked on making the updates to the budget that we made, and it should go down to the town offices tomorrow. Am I right on that? Mm-hmm. But definitely by the 15th, which is when it has to go. So that's it for the chair's report for now. Committee updates. Policy committee, we haven't met, and I know with budget season, that might be the same for many of these. Resource management committee, Joe Margaitis?
We do not meet.
Nikki Matthews, student growth and district advancement, and I believe met. Amanda Nizano, communications.
We met this evening prior to this meeting, and we set a budget flyer that will go out to parents tomorrow. It talks about our budget, why it's increasing, and then also it gives important dates for the budget townwide. So that should be going out to parents tomorrow.
Wonderful, thank you. Negotiation committee, we haven't met, but we do have proposed dates for our first organizational meeting in regard to our first contract negotiations.
And also the negotiations committee has changed since our last meeting. I don't know if you have to announce that.
Oh, yes, good idea, thank you. But we will be starting those negotiations in March. So the negotiations committee did change just based on it is a lot of time and in a short period. Well, hopefully a short period. Sometimes it's not a short period. But it's a lot of time and commitment outside of board meetings, committee meetings. With that, we did have a change in negotiations committee. I know Diana Morales and Alex Crawford and Joe Margaitis, just given like their work obligations, their family obligations, didn't feel like they could come to all the meetings, and they wanted to be respectful of that. So Amanda Veneziano offered to join, so it would be Amanda Veneziano, myself, Dr. Baird, and we'd reach out to the Board of Finance to see who they would like as well on the committee, or as part of our negotiations, not on the committee. PTA liaison.
I did speak with Julia today, one of their co-presidents, and they met with Mr. Larkin this week, and they are planning some in-person events come spring.
Very
So
nice.
they're very excited about that.
Thank you. School readiness.
We did meet at the end of last month. We went over the preschool budget, the nurses report, enrollment, and also some events that will be coming up for preschool families.
Thank you. Ally Schmeisel, Wellness Committee.
Not me.
Oh, maybe. And Shared Services Advisory Group did not meet. Next on the agenda is old business, of which we have none. So we have new business. Is there any new business anyone would like to see on the March regular meeting agenda at this time? No? Okay.
Heather, just one thing.
Sure, Megan.
Just as far as the pre-K tuition, I know we have to approve it after our budget. So just to make sure it's on an agenda coming up in the future.
Yes. Yep. It will be, for sure. Thank you. Which will be staying the same. I just wanted to say that for the record again. Board member comments.
I do have a
Amanda
comment.
Vinson.
I know there's been a lot of discussion about masks, but I just wanted to add one final thought from myself personally. As we sit on a board, it's no longer, it's not my opinion, Heather's opinion, and so forth. We have to think about not just our children and our well-being, but the entire school. And it is a very heavy decision. I feel like the carrot has been going in front of us for so long, like when we can unmask our kids. And trust me, I know, I'm a parent too, my kids are masked, I understand their frustrations and the wants to not have them and the safety of having them, and it goes back and forth. But I just want the public to know that every email that we receive, we read. We can't individually respond because I am only if I send a message, if I respond, I'm 1/7 of the board. So we can't personally respond, but every email is read. We do appreciate so many of you coming out tonight. And just know when we do have the special meeting, it's not just what I personally think or what Heather, like I said, so forth, but we want to hear from Chatham Health. We want the recommendations. If we have DPH recommendations, we have to follow. Of course, parents, stakeholders' opinions. The teacher union are here, their presidents are here, hearing from the teachers who are in our buildings, the admin. It's a heavy decision, and it's not just made lightly. And I just wanted to thank everyone for your patience. And I know it's frustrating, and you get nothing from us because we just listen to your comments, and I've been to many board meetings on the outside and thought, are they listening? Are they just staring at me? No, we really are listening. We're taking it in. So I just wanted you to know we truly appreciate it, and we hear you. We're frustrated right there with you. We're all parents, and it's just a very heavy decision. So please be patient with us. Be kind. Not to us, we understand we get those emails too, but to each other, and just understand, just because you have differences of opinion doesn't make you right or wrong. We're all trying to do what's best for our children. We all love Hebron. We love our schools. We love our staff, our teachers. Our teachers have really been in it for years now, dealing with COVID and all of the changes and all of the children that have come. So just thank you again, and just be patient a little while longer until we really know something concrete.
Thank you. Any other board member comments? All right. That being said, I will adjourn our meeting at exactly 8 o'clock PM. Thank you, everyone. And thank you to those in the audience.